Reviews on the run, Jose, and I've got a huge show for you guys. New Mario game. Naughty Dog's got what's it?
What are you doing? Get the hell? Sorry, I'm late.
Late?
Yeah.
We're supposed to be on the show in March. I've been emailing you every week. We do the show every week, dude. I've been having all kinds of guest reviewers.
Video games live tour thing. You didn't get my emails.
Right.
The
Video game thing. What is that again?
Spam filter, maybe.
Spam, yeah.
You had the spam filter on.
I
I
did.
told you I was world tour music concert thing. Video games live.
Well, you ready to do the show then?
Yeah. I mean, hold on. I'll get us all caught up.
All
okay?
right. Okay.
This game sucks. You have a big head. Tron! And give me something to shove down my pants. And we're good. We're all good. Don't worry, man.
Glad he's back.
Good.
Today on Reviews on the Run, Tommy and I are taking a look at Super Mario Galaxy, Mass Effect, Uncharted Drake's Fortune, and it versus its Black Site Area 51 against Clive Barker's Jericho. All right, welcome to the show. It's going to be a big one. We've got lots of huge games to talk about. Welcome back, Tommy.
Thank you. We've been touring all over the world.
Missed you on
Video
reviews.
Games Live.
I know, congratulations.
And we're doing it all again in 2008, so hopefully you can come out on the road to some of our shows. We'll shoot some shows out there.
Count on it, count on it. All right, let's talk about Mario. We're swinging. We haven't done this in a while. When was the last time we did this?
Remember, it was 10 years ago. It was that Yoshi thing. Let's do it again. Remember, it was
Yoshi's.
La 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 la.
All right, anyways, let's talk about Super Mario Galaxy. Our first review ever, I think, was a Mario game, Mario 64.
Yeah, let's go back in time for that one. Well, people are going to shoot me for this, but I don't think it's the greatest video game ever of all time. Was that a mullet I had?
You had a mullet. All right, now we've got Super Mario Galaxy. It's the first real Mario title for the Wii, the first 3D action-adventure platform hopping Mario game for the Wii.
Right.
What did you think of Super Mario Galaxy?
Big Mario fan, of course. You know, he's the only other short Italian in the video game industry. The thing about the Mario game is it's the best that Mario's ever looked.
Yeah.
It's the best that Mario's ever sounded.
Yes.
I think the level design is absolutely off the charts in terms of, you know, how they did it. But it's interesting because now that we've been playing so many PS3 and Xbox 360, you know what I kept saying to myself as I was playing this game the whole time?
Yeah.
I was like, I wish this game was on the 360.
Well,
you know?
You bring up a good point.
I want to unlock some achievements.
You bring up a good point
I want it
because
to look crisp and clear. The thing that kind of bothers me the most, though, and this is kind of a general overall industry thing as well, media in our industry, is that if you go online, everyone's giving this game a perfect score.
Well, there's a lot of it.
It's the second highest video game rated.
The first highest rated game for a long time.
Game ever, and then it got knocked down a little bit.
So now it's the number 2 highest rated game.
Number 2 highest rated game ever of all time in our whole industry. And you know, I gotta think to myself that there's some bias creeping in.
First of all, I would say I like Mario 64 better than this game.
I like Super Mario World better than this.
Yeah, I mean, those are,
for the time, the innovation, and everything that came out.
But this is still...
And the thing is that take this exact same game and take the character of Mario out and put in some squirrel. Would it be getting 99%?
Yeah, you're right. That's a good point.
That's a thing that I'm like, you know, going into it for me, I was reading all these things and getting all this hype up, and then it kind of lets me down a little bit when I play the game.
You know what, though? There is some credibility to that. How many games have we... I mean, you gave Charlie and the Chocolate Factory a great score because you love the world of Charlie and the Chocolate Factory.
That's fair comment.
I've done that with Star Wars games.
Sure.
You know, and Mario is a beloved character that has so much pull and attraction, and if you're a Mario fanatic, you're going to freak out at how cool this game is. There's a lot to enjoy. Giving it a 9.5 out of 10. What are you going to give it?
For me, I think it's an 8.5. I think it's a really solid game, but definitely not one of the greatest games ever of all time, in my opinion. Okay, I'm talking about Mario Party for the DS. Now, I'm a big Mario Party fan. I've liked it since the beginning of the series. I think they've like kind of overkilled it over the years, but how about for a portable on the DS? I love this game. The whole premise is Bowser's shrunken everyone down, and so what's kind of cool about it is all of the different mini games and things, you're like really small, so you'll like big hamburgers will be around you, or you're in a pinball machine, or remote control cars are zooming by and this and that. So there's over 70 mini games. But the coolest thing I think about this is that if you have one cartridge, anyone within range of the cartridge can download the game onto their DS, and you can play up to 4 players can do that. I really like this one a lot. I'm giving it an 8.5.
Hey, don't go away. We're coming right back with another huge game. It's Mass Effect from BioWare and Microsoft.
You're not as high as I am. You're not as high as I am.
You can never be too old for Swing. Anybody looking for evidence that Sony's going to be experimenting with a PSP phone doesn't have to look farther than God of War Betrayal for the cell phones. That's right, it's my first cell phone review on Reviews on the Run. It's God of War. It feels like God of War on the PlayStation 2. It's obviously not as good looking as the console or the more robust handheld version of the game, but it's pretty slick. It's a 2D side scroller like we used to play on the Genesis and Super Nintendo back in the day. The graphics are very true to the form, though, and very true to the character of Kratos. There's blood all over the place. He's got magic attacks. He's got different weapon abilities that he can upgrade as he works his way through the adventure. There's all kinds of cool demons to battle and big bosses to fight. So if you're a God of War fanatic or a completist, you gotta check this out. Make sure it's on your carrier. I got this on the Rogers network on my Sony Ericsson phone. Works great. God of War Betrayal for a cell phone. Surprisingly fantastic game. 9 out of 10. Welcome back. We're going to talk about BioWare's Mass Effect. This was a big game that BioWare's been working on for a long time. It's published by Microsoft. What'd you think of Mass Effect?
The best part of the game, let me just say, the best part of the game is really the interaction and the dialogue and the characters. But for me, I thought the graphics overall, the worlds, maybe I'm just sick and tired of sci-fi military shooters. Mm-hmm. Your Halos and your Bioshocks and your this and your Jerriga. Everything's like military.
I hear you. It's a crowded year for this kind of content.
As soon as I put that in, I'm like, oh, it's one of those, I like creating the character.
And it's new. I mean, part of I think the pull and attraction for the Knights of the Old Republic stuff was that we kind of got a sense of the Star Wars universe, and it was a built-in kind of familiarity that we kind of liked in KOTOR. This is entirely new, but I think that also gave BioWare a lot of freedom to go off and explore new directions that they hadn't been able to before. It's massive, it's huge, there's lots of cool things to do. The character designs are amazing, the music is great, the voice acting, all of the sort of presentation elements are just terrific, but there are some major flaws in the actual core of the gameplay.
Well, for me, the combat, BioWare, as great as they are, I still think needs to improve on some of the combat stuff.
Talk about how ambitious that is, though, because this time they did try to give you a bit of a real-time vibe and like you're jumping into a shooter, and it's not a shooter, it's an RPG, and you're supposed to think about what weapons you're taking in and what weapons your allies are taking in and how you're going to approach battles, and you can talk your way out of battles. You don't have to fight every single time.
Which is great.
And you have to train on the weapons, and you have to really methodically kind of think about how you're going to approach stuff. You can avoid all that thinking and just jump into the firefights, and it isn't as satisfying. All throughout, all of that combat I found is the kind of the weakest element, and I also was really disappointed by the texture pop-in. That's rampant, man.
Absolutely.
It felt to me, as polished as this game is and as sort of groundbreaking as it is, that it still needed 6 more months.
I like the fact that if at the beginning of the game you can actually create your own character.
Yeah, and it's not just physical. I mean, you create a backstory that kind of is translated into the story of the game, and
now,
they have reputation in there.
Are you like me, and when you go into those characters, do you try to create the most freakish monster? Because I want to see what the cinematics are like for the rest of this game with a guy, I try, and I call it the Vic Lucas. I go in there,
that's nice.
And I make the guy's head as big as possible.
Oh, that's nice.
You missed me.
I missed you, yeah. The little shrunken applehead guy. I missed him. Where you been? Running around in the jungles, right?
Yeah, you know what? I take like 6 months off, and nobody's making fun of you.
No, surprisingly, everybody does make fun of me. I don't know what the hell this is.
Really?
Yeah,
they
I produce the show,
too?
and I get all this heat.
Really?
It's unbelievable. Thanks, everyone.
They got the email.
Yeah, awesome. I don't know. It's unbelievable. they made some great headway, but I don't think it's the game of the year that I was expecting it to be.
Yeah, as well.
Yeah.
That's a totally fair comment.
Yeah.
So I'm going to give it overall, and this isn't really my style of game, but I'm still giving it an 8 because I liked a lot of the game, just not up my alley.
I'm going to give it a 9 out of 10. Don't go away. We've got Uncharted Drake's Fortune for the PS3 right after this.
Super Mario 64.
Well, people are going to shoot me for this, but I don't think it's the greatest video game ever of all time. It's very impressive, big 3D worlds. I think the music could have been better. The graphics could have been better. I'm sorry, you know, Tomb Raider looks better to me anyway. And I'm sorry, I'm 28 years old. I'm sick of jumping on turtles. I appreciate what it is. I just didn't have as fun playing it as I did other games. I still give it a high score, 8.8.
All right.
But I don't think it's up there with greatest games ever.
I can't believe you gave Crash Bandicoot more, but that's your call. It's the greatest game I've ever played in my life. I think it does amazing things for video games. The graphics are brilliant. It looks just like a cartoon in motion. Shigeru Miyamoto is a genius. The worlds are huge. The amount of control you have is fantastic, and I love jumping on turtle shells.
Speechless.
I'm speechless. I love jumping on the turtle shells, and I'm 28 as well. 10 out of 10.
Welcome back. We're talking about Drake's Fortune. This is Uncharted Drake's Fortune.
It's the worst name ever, I think, because
Very easy to forget.
Uncharted Drake's Fortune. Come on, guys.
Yeah.
We got to think of a better name.
Maybe
especially for such a great game.
Maybe there's too many names in games. Is that what the problem is?
I don't know. They could have called it Tony Hawk 12, I guess.
They could have gone that route.
Could have gone that route.
What did you think of Uncharted, man? You've been raving about this one.
I mean, this to me is really, when I play a game like this, you really see the future of interactive entertainment when I play this game.
Agreed.
I mean,
it's next generation, this game.
This is next generation. Naughty Dog.
All the stuff we were talking about with Mario not being next generation in some ways.
There you go.
This definitely delivers.
But they really tell the story. I was really interested in, I mean, it kind of has an Indiana Jones kind of treasure hunter, Tomb Raider type of vibe.
Yep.
But boy, did they do it great.
The challenge, though, that they had with this game all the way along is that they had to kind of differentiate themselves from Indiana Jones and more specifically from Tomb Raider and Lara Croft, who I think had an incredible reimagining from Crystal Dynamics. It was your favorite game last year, right?
Tomb Raider Legend. But tell me, though, the artificial intelligence in this game was second to none.
It's really
probably
good.
Some of the best. And I'll tell you what's great.
Really
you know how in most video games,
it's a tough game.
In most video games, they do this behind the walls.
Yeah.
This behind the walls. So as you're playing, you're just like, okay, when are you going to hit your head out again?
Yeah.
Boom, and then you blow his melon off, right?
Yeah.
But with this game,
no,
they would do this, then they would come down here, then they might do a flip. They come around and flank. I mean,
I love that.
Unbelievable. They'll rush at you.
I love that. But didn't you find that they were just it was the same repetitive dude over and over again.
Absolutely.
And that drove me crazy. I got a little tired of seeing the same dudes coming at me wearing the same clothes, yelling the same stuff.
They should have, absolutely. If my one little knock.
I do love this. The water in this game looks like this. I mean, it's actually
incredible.
better than this. This is kind of gross.
The lush environment and the gameplay as well. You know, it's not just, you're shooting stuff. You know,
it's Gears of War meets Tomb Raider meets a little Indiana Jones. And then you get excellent vehicle sequences. Oh, no. Oh, crap! Wish it was a bit longer.
Hold on a second.
I wish it was a bit longer. I wish it was a bit meatier.
I would rather have a great game that you can play for 8 hours than a crappy Japanese RPG for 100 hours.
Well, there's a couple things with this one. It's pretty linear. I mean, you are collecting treasures and unlocking little rewards and stuff like that. And it's not that long.
But it's not that kind of game. It's not Grand Theft Auto. It's not Sandbox.
It's a $60 investment. Atmosphere, story, you're right. All that stuff is fantastic.
Atmosphere, story, graphics, different elements of gameplay.
It's
amazing AI. That sounds like a perfect game to me.
Well, there are some issues. It's short, and the repetitive bad guys.
I'm short.
And I wouldn't give you a 10 out of 10.
You wouldn't give me a 10?
All right. So what are you going to give Uncharted Drake's Fortune?
You know, this doesn't happen much, and I know I haven't been around for a while, but I'm telling you, this is my game of the year. I'm giving it a perfect 10.
10 out of 10.
You cannot miss this game.
I'm giving it an 8.5. It is a great game. Absolutely. All right, today in hardware, we're talking about Nintendo's Wii Zapper.
Yes.
They refuse to call it a light gun because it's made by Nintendo, but it basically
gun.
Yeah, it turns the Wiimote and nunchuck into a light gun for the Wii. Not a bad idea. Not a bad concept.
No, I mean, basically it's a piece of plastic. Let's not lie.
No,
it's not too many electronics in this device.
No, it's just a shell.
Not to say that it's not great.
Yeah, well,
but it's just a piece of plastic.
Yeah, it's a shell to put the Wiimote on top, and then the nunchuck into the sort of the handle of the controller, and it turns it into a light gun that you can actually move your character around with the nunchuck.
Well, I think it's important to note that you could probably put this together yourself with some Tupperware and duct tape.
You can.
But you can.
You totally could do it. A little broomstick or something like that, you're ready to rock.
Google it.
But the hardware comes with the game for $25.
That's right.
Comes with Link's crossbow training.
A lot of people loved the bow and arrow sequence in Zelda, but they didn't like the way it controlled. So this kind of puts it in a new perspective, and you'll kind of like it more.
I thought it was cool. The one thing I didn't like about it was how you had to coil everything in and slap everything in. I let Fubar put it together for me, and he put a dent right into my wire, and I still haven't forgiven him about it. He almost cut the thing off. He owes me a nunchuck. You gonna recommend the Wii Zapper or not?
Absolutely.
I'm recommending it as well. Great little device, great price. All right, don't go away. We've got Versus coming up right after the break. It's two sci-fi shooters.
Military sci-fi shooters.
Your favorite.
Oh,
it's
boy.
Jericho
How original.
Going up against Black Site Area 51. Don't go away. Welcome to the hit list. Here are 5 of our favorite Mario games. Number 5 is Super Mario Sunshine. Number 4, Super Mario Kart. Number 3, New Super Mario Brothers. Number 2, Super Mario World. And number 1, Super Mario 64. Welcome back. We're going to talk about a couple of sci-fi shooters. If you've been paying attention, there have been a few dozen of them this year.
Gears of War, BioShock, Halo 3.
Yeah. We got Half-Life 2, of course. We got Time Shift is out there. And here's a couple more we're going to talk about.
So let's do some more.
Yeah, we got Black Site Area 51.
Right.
They're going up against Clive Barker's Jericho. All right, let's talk about the graphics for these two first-person shooters.
Well, I mean, I think Jericho takes the cake here for me. It kind of reminded me a little bit of Doom. You know, everything was very dark. You had to turn your flashlight on.
What, you mean the incredibly linear and confusing maze-like environments that are just corridors and there's nowhere to run?
Yeah, everything had this
jump button. Yeah, it's just like Doom.
It was dark, and the blood rendering was fantastic.
Yes.
I mean, there was lots of gore, but it was scary.
Exactly what you want out of a Clive Barker game. Black Site Area 51, much more wide open, expansive environments. I like it's all the Unreal Engine tech, so you've got a kind of a, you know, they hate saying that, the Epic guys hate that there is a kind of a look to the Unreal stuff, but there really is. Yeah, a lot of the games start to look similar.
You were telling me that you really liked in that opening scene, you liked the way they rendered the goat, didn't you?
The goats looked amazing.
Yeah.
I've never seen better looking goats.
I mean, I saw you. You were getting a little horny.
What?
You were getting a little horny.
No, I was working with you for a little bit.
When you saw the goats.
No, I wasn't getting horny.
Goats were turning you on.
No, that's not true.
Those were good goats.
You've got a really sick, twisted mind. I remember now why we haven't had you on the show for a while. I wasn't blown away visually by either one. I felt like the characters were cool, but the environment sucked in Jericho, and I thought that the environments were okay and the characters were okay in Black Site Area 51, so I'm kind of at a tie. Even though I like the aesthetic of the characters much more in Jericho, I think overall visually they're about a tie.
I give it to Jericho. I think the graphics are better in that.
All right, audio-wise, what did you think?
Well, again, you know, I think it's the same thing that Area 51 is suffering from, is that nothing really stood out.
It's generic.
Generic. Where everything
generic
was okay.
Sci-fi action shooter, shooting aliens popping out and people's, yelling aliens-esque non sequiturs and funny little barbs and jokes, and
that's right.
You know, and just to get a lot of that all the way through. Whereas Jericho
has a little style.
It
has a
weird
creep factor.
Yes.
So especially for the audio, you know, the audio the music is very
great.
Suspenseful and creepy.
There's a little bit of a uniqueness factor to the audio soundscape of Jericho.
Right, exactly. And
at Black Site, you could take that audio, insert into any sci-fi game, and it will work.
So, you know, for me, Jericho all the way for audio.
Me too. Gameplay-wise, we're talking about two games that allow you some squad-based mechanics where you can actually send some of the troops that are with you to go and do some things. But Jericho has a totally different kind of spiel. It's kind of like Geist for the GameCube in a way, and a few other.
That's an old game. I haven't heard in a while.
And Sacrifice that David Perry worked on at Shiny. But the whole sort of idea there is possession. You jump out of a body and then you overtake somebody else in there. Basically, at the beginning of the game, Ross, the character that you're playing, dies, and his spirit goes into other characters, and then you can jump around as characters die, but also at will you can possess another character, and they have different magical powers, and they have different weapons and sort of upgrades that way. And all that stuff is cool, but they blew it with these stupid corridors that are just, they go on for, there's no map, and there's small,
again, Doom.
Linear.
It reminded me of Doom.
Black Site's really kind of standard issue. You're a goon taking on an alien invasion, basically, and finding out this conspiracy stuff. But it's really just
Gears of War.
Yeah, it's just like they looked at Gears of War. Because what surprised me is I actually liked the vibe of Area 51 quite a bit when it was on the previous consoles. I thought that was a creepier kind of take into the. Going into the underground facilities of Area 51, and aliens were popping up everywhere, and they had a lot of the Greys running around. And this one just felt so run-of-the-mill. It's pretty hard to be excited about either one of these games, but I think, for me at least, gameplay-wise, Jericho delivers a few, special, cool things that I liked and picked up on. So I'm going to give it to Jericho.
Yeah, you give it to Jericho.
Overall, Jericho?
I do, overall.
All right. So what are you going to give the Jericho game?
Jericho is going to get a 7.
6.5 for me. What about Black Site Area 51?
That's getting a 6.
I'm going to give that a 6 as well. There you go. 2 more sci-fi shooters to add to your collection, or not. Probably stick with the or not part. If you're going to pick up either one of these games, though, pick up Jericho. It's a little bit better.
Today on the show, Tommy and I took a look at Super Mario Galaxy. The puzzles and presentation are superb, and this is definitely a must-buy game, but we both felt that it's a little less revolutionary than some of the previous Mario adventures. Mass Effect. The story is fantastic and the visuals will blow you away, but the slower pacing and graphical glitches may really bug you. Uncharted Drake's Fortune. The visuals and animations are incredible, and exploring the island is a blast, but the game is short and does get a bit repetitive with the gun battles. In Versus, we took a look at Black Site Area 51, decent character design and some wide open environments to fight in, but the whole thing feels incredibly generic and forgettable. We looked at that one against Clive Barker's Jericho. Cool, creepy characters that you can possess and control at will, and good audio, are undermined by some of the lamest level designs we have seen in modern first-person shooters. We didn't really groove on either game, but if we had to choose, it would be Clive Barker's Jericho. The Rogers Video Game of the Week is a tie. Super Mario Galaxy and Uncharted Drake's Fortune.
I need to start growing facial hair, though.
You can do that.
I got the mustache. I'm not old enough yet. There's a duck behind you.
Just hanging out. Helping us.
He likes Mass Effect.
He does, yeah. He's going to take a Mass Effect right over there.
That's right. With a name like Wii Zapper, how bad could it really be? I mean, that's a Wii Zapper. I thought I was going to, pee on the thing and I was going to get electrocuted or something. I didn't know what the heck's going on.